Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, the Force is with the readers, and we return to the Marvel series for issue number 101, the long-awaited Far, Far Away. Oh god. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. The issue we're looking at this time is, as I said, issue number 101, Far, Far Away from the Marvel series. It says there on the cover, they outnumber Han 30-1. Boy, are they in trouble. Oh, looks like it's going to be an action-packed, awesome romp in the Star Wars universe, though. Are those horses? Yes, those be horses, son. And it just goes downhill from there. You find this these days in the pages of Star Wars Omnibus a long time ago, Volume 5. What we're dealing with here, the story Far, Far Away, I said it's kind of long-awaited. Back in issue 97, Escape, the end of that great three-part Lumaya arc, what we wound up with is that little next, Far, Far Away little promo thing, only then the next story wasn't Far, Far Away. It took them from 97, promo at the end of 97, up to issue 101 to finally get around to telling this story. Since then, they've done Touch of the Goddess, and they've done First Strike, both of which take place in the same general time frame as this, but which are kind of shuffled around chronologically because of this. It's really kind of odd. Basically, this issue, Far, Far Away, happens. Then Touch of the Goddess happens. Then First Strike happens. And we know this, both, from the little references inside, we know this because of some of the things that happen throughout the issues here. For instance, at the beginning of this, we have Leia and Han just kind of bickering about things, the Hoojibs kind of watching this, and how Han is being frustrated by the fact that they are being treated like flunkies since the Emperor was killed. Now that they're in the peacetime, they're being treated like they don't matter and such. Kind of, because remember, they're not part of that ruling council because of them not being present for the meeting a while back and whatnot. But it's all kind of broken up there when, what looks like Boba Fett shows up and Han freaks out. But it's not Boba Fett, it's Finn. Finn Shisa is back. And Finn has brought with him a friend, who we met, of course, back in Touch of the Goddess briefly, Bay, who we know, thanks to First Strike, is an old friend of Han's who used to look after Han when he was younger. They're kind of like brothers in many respects. And of course, we know now that he's also the half-brother of the Nagai Knife. And he was the apparent traitor within the rebellion feeding information to the Nagai. So we're in kind of an odd circumstance here. They don't get a chance to catch up very long, though, because Han is sent off on a mission. It's Han, R2-D2, C-3PO, and a couple of Hoojibs. Very odd crew there. So they take off, and they're investigating these coherent energy balls. Yes, coherent energy balls. Sounds like some kind of bizarre thing that you can take to boost your manhood or something. Which have these coherent energy balls that have been striking ships and causing them to relocate entirely. And as they watch, and apparently Finn has changed into white armor, as we wind up seeing in Touch of the Goddess, you may recall there. So there is apparently a reason for it, a precedent for it and such. Although this is Cynthia Martin doing the artwork rather than Ron Frenz this time around. One of them hits the Millennium Falcon. And boom, they're zapped away. And boy, are they zapped away. Apparently, it seems to essentially another universe or another dimension. They are zapped to a place that hyperspace shouldn't be able to take them. They are flying, without the controls, going full speed through nowhere. And they wind up appearing on this bizarre world that's very much almost like a medieval kind of setting here, a fantasy setting, where Risa and Gil, the princess and prince of two different ruling families from the dark and the light sides of the planet, who are supposed to be getting married and so forth, are being hunted down by brigands to be killed and such, and it turns out that by arriving when he does, Han saves the day. They fly in. I kind of like the fact that the Millennium Falcon is flying in there upside down on purpose there. Nice touch. So he comes in, crashes, he has a blaster, they don't have anything to match it, so he winds up driving off the brigands and saving Risa. Only now she's gaga over him, rather than Gil, at least to a degree. And Han is kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do. Is there an angle to this? Is there something he can do? But really, he's past those days. He just wants to get back to Leia, especially with, the whole issue of them having argued very recently. So he meets the king and the king's vizier, Marius. A bit of a creepy-looking, kind of wizardly guy there. Bizarre feather on his cap and such. And basically, Han winds up contriving to try to figure out who the brigands were, draw them out, and by drawing them out, draw their leader out. And he kind of does this in some underhanded ways. Others think that he's doing some unscrupulous stuff, but he's really not. He's trying to find a way to make things happy and safe. There's a moment at which he's sort of thinking, you know what? This is a place where the whole love between a princess and someone else could be done right. But it's not him trying to get Risa for himself. He's trying to make sure that she and Gil can be happy, which is kind of a cool thing to see. He winds up drawing out the man behind the brigands, who of course winds up being the vizier. Who else could it have been if not the vizier at this point in the story? He's one of the few that have been introduced. A very cliche way of playing out the story in that respect, until finally the day is saved, Marius is stopped, and they're able to get back into space with some repairs and get back to the regular galaxy far, far away. They may not have known where they went, but thankfully the Falcon can just reverse its previous course and take them right back to where they came from. And Han is reunited with Leia in a very touching, brief moment. Nice artwork there for the two of them at the end of the issue. And it's great to have them back because that world was annoying and we're in the middle of a freaking war. Nagai Toph War. Lumaya's back. We get the whole issue with the Nagai and this invasion fleet that just started. Here's Bay. He's connected to them. Who is Bay? Look, Finn Shisa's back. And we're going to go off on this bizarre little tangent story that matters nothing to no one. Matters nothing to anyone. Matters only to no... Never mind. It's a throwaway story, okay, is what we're dealing with here. And it just doesn't work. Does not work for me. If it weren't for that brief introduction of Bay and the return of Finn, there'd be no point to this story whatsoever. I am shocked that it managed to see print in this era where these big overarching storylines, and they throw this out of the middle of nowhere. Of course, they did the same thing back with Supply and Demand, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. It'd be nice to get back to our main storylines, which thankfully we'll be back to in the next Marvel issue. So this issue, Far, Far Away, is it an essential read? For modern readers? No. No, it's not. For Marvel readers, it's tough to say. It's one of those ones where the first few pages could be essential because we meet Bay and so forth, but at this point, they've put it out of order. We have already met Bay and know about him and Han and the fact that he's a traitor. I'm not sure we need to see him arrive and Finn arrive to just accept that they were there back in Touch of the Goddess, because that's what readers in the 80s had to do because they released it out of order. So, I'm going to go ahead and say no and no. Not essential for Marvel readers, not essential for modern readers. Really a story that did not need to exist and perhaps should not have existed in this era of the Marvel series, especially knowing that they only have 6 more issues before the series is over. Not a lot of time to play things out. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching. There'll be better things to come, and may the Force be with the readers.